Hey, welcome to the FRYEday podcast. This is episode number 3. Now, this is an experiment, and we're kind of testing it out to see if you guys are interested, would like this, and it's based and dependent upon your engagement. So, if you like this, hey, let us know. Would you share this with a few people? Like this video, or check us out and watch some of our other videos. Subscribe to the channel, and we can't wait to bring more content to you. We've been in this little mini series called The Laws of Love. And we're really highlighting how laws are really these transcendent principles that are designed by an authority. And these are so helpful when you put them into practice, but they're dangerous if you don't. And so we went through the law of individuality. We went through the law of investigation. And today we're going to do 3 and 4 together. And so I'm going to have my wife read law number 3.
The law of investment. The law of investment. Some things are destined to grow apart. Some things grow apart because you didn't do your part. And great relationships do not happen accidentally, but intentionally. So I think one thing that a lot of people don't understand is the importance of being intentional in your relationship if you want it to grow. And when you're not intentional and you just, we actually see this more with marriages, not as much dating relationships, but a lot of marriages, once people start getting really comfortable, they're not as intentional with their spouse. And that's where we see a lot of people grow apart. That's why we see a lot of divorce rates go up. People who just naturally lean towards wanting to get a divorce because they just don't feel fulfilled in their relationships anymore, in their marriages. They don't feel like they're really growing with that person. They kind of feel like, I'm living with a roommate. I'm not really living with my best friend or the love of my life. And that's because there's no more intentionality behind that relationship. So sometimes things do grow apart. Usually we see that more so with dating relationships. They'll just naturally grow apart. But some things grow apart because you didn't do your part. So we want to make sure that people understand the law of investment, why it's so important to invest in your relationship with your significant other. And honestly, with all kinds of relationships, not just with your significant other. That would apply to platonic friendships. It's important to maintain, pour in some investment in your relationships to see it flourish and grow.
Super important to just pursue and practice enjoyment. Like, I think a lot of people, a lot of marriages especially, now this is not solely for marriages, so I don't want you to tune out if you're not, but I think a lot of people lose their friendship. And there's a scripture in Solomon, I don't have the reference in front of me, but it talks about how she is my lover and my friend. It's both. My wife is my lover and my friend. We have so much fun together. We just came back from a trip down to, we did a road trip down south and we just had a blast, had a great time down there, rested, relaxed, but we literally drove down there and everybody was like, you guys are driving? Are you serious?
It was fun.
And we had a good time. We had a blast with the boys and we had just an overall great experience. Why? Those things are not detrimental to us because we enjoy being with each other. So part of vacation was not like, oh, those 2 days are wasted as we drove down to Florida. No, it was actually like, those are part of our vacation because we enjoy spending time together.
We have fun together. We laugh together. And we laugh a lot together. And that's, I think, like...
We laugh a lot at each other.
With each other. I think that's medicine. Truly is like medicine for the soul, laughter. So when you're laughing with your significant other, I mean, you're literally... That's like an easy way to just build a closeness with that person. You automatically start drawing closer when you just practice that simple act of laughter.
And I find that relationships... Many of them nowadays are that when you're discipled by culture, you have almost exclusively attraction, but not admiration. Meaning you don't just admire their character. You don't enjoy the person. You just like the body. You like what it comes in. You like the
shell.
Suit, the shell that it comes in, exactly. And we have both. I have both. I think my wife is stunning, and I love spending time with her because I think her personality is... She always is like, oh, you think I'm hilarious? I think she's funny.
He thinks I'm hilarious.
I
Don't
think
let him fool you.
you're very funny
He
at
laughs
times.
so hard when I say things. I'm witty. I'm funny. He doesn't like to admit it, but.
I think you're very funny.
And I'm witty.
Witty. I don't know about that.
I am witty.
I think you're very smart.
I have my moments, actually. I'll say that.
I wouldn't call you witty. I
have moments of
I think you're
being
smart.
witty.
And you're sharp. You're also sharp-tongued, too. You just want a friendship. You want friendship that will last together. But that comes with investment. You need to read this book. You need to buy it right now. Pause this video. Go on Amazon. You need to buy His Needs, Her Needs.
By Dr. Darius Daniels?
Nope, that's by William Holvey.
Oh.
Relational Intelligence is Dr. Darius Daniels. That's another great one you should buy. But His Needs, Her Needs, and he references the love bank principle. The love bank principle, I might have talked about it on this channel before, but I think this is critical. This is like an incredible metaphor for how our relationships need to be handled. So the love bank principle is when every interaction you have, there's no such thing as a neutral interaction. Meaning that whatever interaction you have is either a deposit, or a withdrawal.
It's either a positive or a negative.
There's no such neutral. No such thing as a neutral interaction. So every interaction, a small little comment, a joke that is made, a compliment given, that's +5. When you get a gift for somebody, that's +10. When you're constantly depositing, eventually your emotional bank account is at, you have $1,000 in there.
Your love bank.
And your love bank is full. And what happens when it's full? You have emotional margin, and you feel more and more in love. But when you throw these little jabs, like, you always do this, I can't stand when you do that, or you throw little sarcastic remarks, or there's neglect, or there's not any conversation that takes place, that's a withdrawal, until eventually you have a negative bank account. And so there's a lot of relationships that we see in counsel that we're just like, hey, you guys need to put into better practice the habit of putting in deposits, a little affirmation, a little touch on the leg, being proud, giving affection, appropriate affection, gift giving. And so I think the love bank is important, but also the love languages are important. You want to describe that?
Absolutely. Which there's also a book on the love languages. I don't know who
That's
the
by
author
Gary
is.
Chapman.
Okay.
3 books for you right there.
My walking encyclopedia over here. Yeah, so the love languages the book itself will detail it more, but essentially the principle is that there are different ways that people give love and also receive love. And the 5 major ones are words of affirmation, physical touch, gifts, acts of service, and quality time. And it's very important to, one, understand how you receive love, because if you know how you receive love, then you can better communicate to your significant other how you would like them to show you love. But also, two, understanding your significant other's love language helps you show them love the way they receive love.
That's
so
right.
Even like in the beginning, especially, I'm a very task-oriented person. So I would do a lot of things, acts of service. I would do a lot of things for Devon, but that's not his love language. So even though I was showing him love by doing those things, he wasn't necessarily receiving love from me, because that's not how he receives love. His love language is words of affirmation. So he would have way rather me just take the time to say, hey, I'm really proud of you for how hard you've been working. You've been taking such great care of our family. Or, hey, I think you look so handsome today. Or whatever.
Thanks.
You do look handsome today. Well, whatever, like, affirming word or
We're shutting
phrase
the episode down. We're good.
I could share with him,
Gotcha.
that would make him feel more loved than me just doing a bunch of stuff around the house, making food or whatever, cleaning up or doing something for him. And so that's really important. And, a lot of people either never learn that, or it's years before they learn that. So if you're hearing this now, you already have an advantage, because that's a tool right there that you can use to get to know your significant other better, love them better, and they can love you better on the flip side.
That's right. I think the lesson is you shouldn't teach people to love you. Mm-hmm. You need to teach people how to love you, though. Because all of us express and receive love in different ways, just like now it's just saying. Mm-hmm. And so there are words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, physical touch, and what was the other one? Receiving gifts?
Yeah.
Receiving gifts. So I think it's important for you to know which ones are yours. Mm-hmm. And then you got to know which ones your partners are. And that's how you give. And that's how you receive. And I think the investment of that over time just produces a passionate, dynamic, red hot relationship, which is what we all want. And so put those into practice. The love bank and the love languages. You put those two things into practice, the law of investment will take route and take place in your relationship. And you're going to be like, this was game changing for me. And this was game changing for us.
For sure. A couple little nuggets pro tips we want to throw at you that also assist with investment would be consistent date nights, making sure that you're regularly planning to quality time with each other, even if that's not your number one love language. Just making sure that you're carving out time for each other. It showcases the priority that person has in your life. At
least once a month, maybe every other week if you don't have kids. Like, you need to be regular about this. I know older couples that do it every single week. They do it on Thursday nights. You know, I see that because I want a relationship that lasts a long time and has a good time.
Absolutely. Another thing is be affectionate with your significant other outside of the home. So a lot of people are like, I don't like to show PDA. You don't have to be super affectionate, you know, in public, but hold your person's hand. Link arms with them, rest your head on their shoulder, give them a little kiss on the cheek, or hug them. It doesn't have to be anything wild or even like borderline inappropriate or extravagant, but just showcasing that you like the person it goes a long way. It goes a long way. And you're sending a message to other people too, like, yeah, we're good.
That's right.
If I'm in a space and I don't ever see a couple interact with each other, and it's like multiple times I've been in the same room as them, and I never seen
avoiding each other, embarrassed, or almost have shame.
It sends a message to people. It sends a message like,
you should be proud.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't have to be attached to the hip, but at some point show a little bit of affection so people know, oh yeah, they're so cute.
Should be proud and express appropriate affection. And to some, honestly, to some people, it's like, I love that. Is that becomes attractive as opposed to disgusting. You know, appropriate PDA is like, they really love each other. I want something like that one day.
And to be honest, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. You want to set an example for people. People are watching, so set them an example of what a healthy relationship looks like, a loving relationship looks like.
Hey, I want to challenge you. Don't waste your potential. For those who are serious, not just curious about their spiritual and personal development, I want to invite you to the Academy. Listen, if you like this video, this is just a glimpse of the incredible content and conversations that we have in this coaching program. The question is, what is the Academy? It is a digital continuity program my team and I lead, designed to help the committed Christian grow spiritually and personally. Through our specialized Core 4 model we get from Jesus, we emphasize the spiritual, personal, relational, and leadership growth that he invests himself in as well. This comes from Luke chapter 2, verse 52, where Jesus grew in wisdom, stature, favor with God, and favor with man. And our goal is to coach you so that you can increase your influence, impact, and income. Listen, I started the Academy because I've had hundreds of conversations with good people who don't necessarily live good lives. And they were never trained how to manage their calendar, document core values, establish boundaries with others, and so many more necessary skills. Inside the vault, you'll learn things like how to study the Bible, how to become a person of self-discipline, how to find freedom from toxic people, even leadership theory, all within a biblical framework and a biblical context. Listen, things don't get better by chance. They get better when you change. And this program is not an expense, it's an investment. So go to theacademycoaching.com or visit the description below this video to check out more details, and let's make this year your best year yet.
Fight right. We talked about this in one of our other videos, is learning how to fight right, developing healthy conflict resolution skills, knowing that if you're not fighting, that's a red flag. You should be fighting. You should be able to have conflict with your significant other, but you should also know how to resolve those conflicts in a healthy way. And like, don't be afraid to say sorry. Don't think that you're the one who's, oh, well, I lost this battle because I said sorry first. And no, it's not. You're not fighting. You're not trying to fight to win against a person. You're fighting for your relationship. Right. And so at the end of the day, apologizing is actually the best thing that you can do, and meaning it. apologizing and meaning it, because you care about the person more than you care about what you're arguing about.
That's right. It's good.
Let's see some other ones. Talk about funny stuff. We do that all the time. We love to laugh together. We'll even go to comedy shows. That's how much we love laughing. We'll go to like comedy shows.
We go to improv asylum.
Yeah, we'll just whatever we can do to like.
It's like our favorite date night. We've been doing that since we first started dating. How long?
Like 11 years.
Yeah, every year.
Yeah. So we love it. We love having fun together, have fun together, meet with other couples that are further ahead that can counsel you.
Find mentor couples.
Yes.
If there is one thing that will separate your relationship from everybody else's, it is you have a mentor couple that speaks into your relationship, and that investment will produce incredible fruit and have a great harvest. Find them. It is so important. I think that leads us perfectly into number 4, which is the law of involvement.
Yes.
So we've had so far the law of individuality, the law of investigation, the law of, what was the last one? Investment. And the last one, the law of involvement, which states what?
The law of involvement. Great relationships are a result of being surrounded by great relationships. If the heart is deceitful, then we need people that are discerning. That's good. If I want my relationship blessed, then I should get blessing. 3 voices you need. You need 1.
Wait, real quick, before you move on to that. If I want my relationship blessed, I need blessing. Meaning that you have enough humility to say, if I want to have a strong relationship, I need to have somebody speaking into it. I want to get blessing from it, which means I have authority over my life, biologically or spiritually, or both, that say, I bless this. I am just a little old school, where I believe in you should get the blessing from the father if you're trying to marry his daughter. I think you should get blessing from a pastor to say, I've spoken into this. I see God in this mix. You want blessing. And if you want a blessed relationship, you want to get blessing from authority that's in your life. And if you don't have authority in your life, I think that's a sign that that's one thing you need to get first. So 3 relationships you're going to need. Here are the 3.
First one is professional. Second one is pastoral. And third is people of authority.
People of authority. Or I would say also people you trust. Like healthy, iron sharpening iron kind of relationships. Let's break these down and we'll conclude. So first, I think you need a professional. Matt and I have said this and shouted this from the rooftops. This is a review for many people. The professional is you want to be able to invest financially into your relationship. People spend tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars a lot of times for their education and for their career, and they won't spend a dime in their relationships, and they wonder why the investment of that has no fruit, because they didn't invest in it in the first place.
I will say, like Devon and I we may have shared this before on a different video, but when we were dating, one of the things that we really struggled with was communication, especially on my end. I really struggled with being open and transparent about my feelings. I would just bottle things up. And then in turn, whenever I would finally release all of the feelings that I was feeling, and it would create conflict, and then we couldn't resolve our conflict very well. So I remember we were at a point in our relationship where we were having a conversation with his dad, and he was like, well, I would recommend doing some pre-engagement counseling because you guys are serious, but you also have these pretty big issues that you're having a hard time resolving on your own. And so I would recommend seeing a professional. And from that point, you guys should really have a conversation about what if it doesn't resolve even seeing a professional, even going to a professional, applying the different things that this psychologist or counselor teaches you. If it's still not working, you might want to reevaluate if you're even in the right relationship. And we had a conversation about that, and it was sobering, but we were both on the same page that if we could not resolve our issues, then we didn't want to be miserable. We didn't want to be in a relationship that wasn't going to bear fruit, that wasn't going to be healthy. Right. And so we made the financial commitment to see a counselor.
And it was expensive.
Before we were even engaged. I mean, before we had talked about engagement, but we were not anywhere ready for that yet. But we needed to resolve these things before we took if we were to take that step.
That's right.
And that was the best investment that we made. So much so that I felt like our relationship did a 180 in those areas, and we grew like 10x very quickly because of that.
I think it's important though that we went in there with a sober mind. We also went in there to do the work. So we've sent people to a counselor. Even we've sent people to this specific counselor that we got. And there were some people that were like, I didn't really get a lot out of it. I'm like, you didn't put in the work. Like, we went in there, we did the testing, we did it on time. We went in there, we fought right. We exposed each other, we exposed ourselves. And we went in there and be like, if I'm paying money, I'm not just going to be surface level.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it annoys me because I've heard it from several people be like, yeah, we went to this guy and he didn't really, like, it was fine. I'm like, I'm getting a return on my investment because I put good money into this. And I find that there's some people that just aren't straight up honest. And they're like, oh, we're doing really good. I'm like, we went in there day one. We're like, she sucks at this. I suck at this. Can you help us with this? And if we don't, then we're probably going to have a real conversation about whether or not we have a future together. Like, that's where we were. And the thing about a professional or a counselor is they're only as good as the information you provide them. And so that's why I think you do need a pastoral relationship, somebody that has and sees your blind spots, knows you a little bit relationally. But the professional is super important, and you got to give them the necessary information.
As far as a pastoral voice in your life, I think God ordains people to lead people, to be a shepherd for sheep.
And a watchman.
And a watchman for people's souls. And I think that's one of the most serious voices that you could listen to.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you are submitted to a pastor, as a believer, if you're submitted to a pastor, then you should take your pastor's word very seriously, and you should go to your pastor for counsel as far as whether or not you should be aligning yourself with certain people, and kind of like the direction relationally that your life is heading in. I think if your pastor has an opinion, a thought, maybe even a word on that, maybe the Lord reveals something, you never know. And I don't think it's a joke to play with the word of that comes from the voice of a pastor in your life, because their whole life is to lead you spiritually. That's their whole calling, is to lead people spiritually, to protect people. And if they're saying something out of protection for you, then you don't want to take it lightly. You really want to be mindful of that.
Yeah, my pastoral kind of shepherd heart has to say, the Bible does say something about a hired hand and a true shepherd. So you have discernment of whether or not a pastor has integrity, or a pastor is saying something to manipulate you because they want something in return or something like that. I know I've heard of pastors that somebody was asking for blessing to go to a different church, and they're like, no, you could never do that. And if somebody came to me with that, of course I'd ask questions. Is it something that happened? Is it something that... But I know that, listen, not everybody's called to seats on the bus that I'm driving, and that's okay. So I think it's important to qualify real quick of like, you got to take it seriously, but and use discernment of, does this pastor want what's best for me? And also don't assume that they don't. I have personal opinions, but I can check it to the side. If somebody's like, I really want this person, pay attention to the people that give you warnings. And when your flesh starts to kick back, you got to pay attention to those moments the most. Because you need authority, and you need to submit to authority. And that probably requires a whole unpacking of just that one statement, submitting to authority. But authority is in your life, and the warnings they give to you in your life is for the seasons when you disagree with them the most. And I found that people have had some dangerous things when they don't heed the warnings of others. Now, one last qualifier to kind of wrap it around. A pastor does not dictate what you decide. They should not dictate that. They should influence it, though. And so if you avoid even being like, we just had somebody who was pretty close to us, and then they just dipped out. They wanted nothing to do with it because they knew where I stood. I would love them enough. If they gave me the opportunity to say something, I would love them enough to be like, I don't agree with this, but I still love you, and I want what's best for you, and I'm praying for you. But they just ghosted because they just assumed exactly what I would say. And those are the things I'm like, unfortunately, I think that has consequences to it later. That the key's under the mat. You're always welcome to come home. if that was the case. And so heed the warnings and heed the counsel of professionals, of pastors, and of people you trust. This is why you need good friends, biblical friends, people that provide assistance in seasons where you need it, people who provide accountability in seasons where you think you don't need it. You need those kind of people. Scripture talks about in Proverbs, one who has unreliable friends comes to ruin. You need some reliable friends, some people you trust that will keep you from ruining your life. And this will conclude the mini-series on the laws of love. I hope these added value to you. Again, it's the law of individuality,
Investigation.
the law of investigation, the law of investment, and the law of involvement. You put these things into practice as a game changer. This is wisdom. Hear me loud and clear, please. Last thing. This is wisdom. And if you don't abide by these laws, this wisdom, there will be distractions, frustrations, maybe even destruction. Because these are laws that you put into practice. And I'm telling you, you're going to experience peace, productivity, and purpose if you put them in practice. If you don't, it's going to be dangerous for you. And we want to warn you enough. I've heard this one quote, and I'll end with this, is if you marry wisdom, then I'll help you marry wisely. So the first thing you need to marry is wisdom. This is wisdom. Put it into practice in your life, and I'm telling you, it's going to help you. We love you. Hey, as always, like and subscribe. If this video helped, send it to somebody. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye.